Deep within a lush jungle where the trees stood tall and the air was thick with the scent of blooming flowers, there existed a world teeming with life. The jungle was a vibrant tapestry of greens, with leaves that whispered secrets to the wind and vines that twisted and turned like nature's own playground. By a wide, sparkling river that wound its way through the heart of this verdant paradise, the water glistened under the sun's warm embrace, creating a dazzling display of light and color. The river was the lifeblood of the jungle, providing sustenance and a place of gathering for all its inhabitants. Lived a clever monkey named Mika. Mika was not just any monkey, he was known far and wide for his quick wit and playful nature. His days were filled with endless adventures, exploring every nook and cranny of his jungle home. Mika had bright eyes that sparkled with mischief, always on the lookout for the next bit of fun. His laughter was a familiar sound in the jungle, echoing through the trees and bringing smiles to all who heard it. And he could swing from vine to vine faster than you could say bananas. His agility was unmatched, and he moved with a grace that left everyone in awe. The jungle was his playground, and he knew every vine and branch like the back of his hand.
Speaking of bananas, I love to munch on the sweet yellow fruit that grows on my favorite tree by the riverbank. The bananas here are the best, and I can never get enough of their delicious taste. They give me the energy I need for all my adventures.
One sunny afternoon, as Mika happily munched on a banana, savoring each bite, he felt a sense of contentment wash over him. The sun was shining, the river was sparkling, and all seemed right in his world. Suddenly, he heard a loud snap. The sound was sharp and unexpected, breaking the tranquility of the moment. Mika's ears perked up and he quickly scanned his surroundings to find the source of the noise. He peeked down from his branch and saw a crocodile with emerald green scales sunning himself on a rock. The crocodile's scales glistened in the sunlight, creating a mesmerizing sight. This was no ordinary crocodile, this was Charlie, the crocodile. Charlie was known throughout the jungle for his friendly demeanor and his love for basking in the sun. Despite his fearsome appearance, he had a heart of gold. Charlie was big and strong, with a toothy grin that could be a little scary. But those who knew him understood that his grin was just his way of showing happiness. He was a gentle giant, always ready to lend a helping hand. Mika and Charlie were unlikely friends. Their friendship was a testament to the fact that true bonds can form between the most unexpected pairs. They had a special connection that went beyond words. Every day, Mika would throw juicy mangoes down to Charlie, who would catch them with a delighted snap of his jaws. It was their little ritual, a way of showing care and appreciation for each other, and they would chat about their day. Mika would share stories of his daring escapades in the treetops, while Charlie would recount tales of the river and its many mysteries. Mika would tell Charlie about his adventures in the treetops, describing the breathtaking views and the thrilling leaps from branch to branch. He loved the feeling of the wind rushing through his fur as he soared through the air. And Charlie would share stories of the river, talking about the different creatures that lived in its depths and the secrets it held. He had seen many things in his time, and his stories were always fascinating. One day I was feeling very hungry. The kind of hunger that gnaws at you and makes you feel weak. It was a feeling I hadn't experienced in a long time. I hadn't eaten in days and my energy was running low. The jungle, usually so full of life and abundance, seemed to be holding back its bounty from me, and my tummy rumbled like thunder. The sound was loud and insistent, a constant reminder of my need for food. I knew I had to find something to eat soon. As I watched Mika toss me a mango, my heart filled with gratitude. The mango was ripe and juicy, and I could already taste its sweetness. It was a gift that meant more to me than words could express. A mischievous thought bubbled up in my mind. What if I could find a way to get more of these delicious fruits? The idea was tempting, and I couldn't help but smile at the possibilities. Thank you, Mika. These mangoes are delicious, but you know what I truly crave?
What's that, Charlie?
A monkey's heart. They say it's the sweetest treat in the whole jungle. Mika gasped, his fur standing on end. He couldn't believe his ears. Had his friend just expressed a desire to eat his heart? Don't worry, Mika, I wouldn't hurt you. You're my friend. But I heard there's a monkey on the other side of the river with a heart of gold. He's very generous, always sharing his food. Mika's heart pounded like a drum in his chest. He could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins, making his hands tremble slightly. The forest around him seemed to close in, the trees whispering secrets he couldn't quite understand. Mika had always been cautious, but today, he felt an unusual sense of dread. He knew something was off, something he couldn't quite put his finger on. He knew Charlie was trying to trick him. The glint in Charlie's eyes and the sly smile on his face were dead giveaways. Mika had seen that look before, and it never meant anything good. He remembered the last time Charlie had pulled a prank on him, and he wasn't about to let it happen again. But this time, the stakes felt higher, more dangerous. But how could he escape? The river was wide and the current strong. Mika's mind raced as he considered his options. He could try to outsmart Charlie, but that would require quick thinking and a lot of luck. Or he could play along and look for an opportunity to turn the tables. Either way, he needed a plan, and he needed it fast. Tell you what, Mika. Charlie's voice was smooth, almost too smooth, as if he had rehearsed this line 100 times. Mika could sense the underlying tension, the hidden agenda behind those seemingly kind words. I'll give you a ride on my back across the river. Charlie's offer seemed generous, but Mika knew better than to trust it at face value. There had to be a catch, a hidden trap waiting to spring. You can meet this generous monkey and maybe even become friends with him, Charlie continued, his tone dripping with false sincerity. Mika's mind raced. Was this monkey in on the plan too, or was he just another pawn in Charlie's game? Mika knew he had to be careful. Every step he took, every word he said had to be calculated. He couldn't afford to make a mistake. The consequences could be dire. He took a deep breath, trying to steady his nerves. He had to stay one step ahead of Charlie. He couldn't let Charlie know he was onto his plan. If Charlie suspected anything, the whole scheme could fall apart. Mika had to play his part perfectly, pretending to be naive and unsuspecting. It was a delicate balance, and one wrong move could tip the scales. So he pretended to be excited about the idea. He forced a smile, trying to make it look genuine. "That sounds amazing, Charlie," he exclaimed, hoping his voice didn't betray his true feelings. Inside, he was a bundle of nerves, but on the outside, he had to appear calm and enthusiastic.
Wow! That sounds like fun, Charlie! Mika's voice was bright and cheerful, masking the turmoil inside. He had to keep up the act no matter how difficult it was. He couldn't let Charlie see through his facade. "But how will I get back across the river?" Mika asked, injecting a note of concern into his voice. He needed to sound genuinely worried to keep Charlie from suspecting anything. It was a risky move, but he had to take the chance.
"Don't worry." Charlie's response was quick, almost too quick. Mika could sense the impatience in his voice, the eagerness to move forward with his plan. It was a small slip, but it gave Mika a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he could turn this situation to his advantage. "I'll be here waiting for you after you've met your new friend." Charlie's words were meant to be reassuring, but to Mika, they sounded like a thinly veiled threat. He had to stay sharp to keep his wits about him. The game was far from over, and Mika was determined to come out on top. Mika took a deep breath and nodded. "All right, let's do this," he said, his voice steady. He had a plan of his own, and he was ready to put it into action. The next few moments would be crucial, and Mika was prepared to face whatever came his way. Mika knew he couldn't outswim Charlie. The crocodile was much too fast and strong in the water. Mika had to think of a plan, and fast. He knew that his only chance of survival was to outsmart Charlie, but how? The river was wide and deep, and the current was strong. Mika's mind raced as he tried to come up with a solution. The crocodile was much too fast and strong in the water. Mika had seen Charlie swim before, and he knew that the crocodile could cover great distances in a matter of seconds. There was no way Mika could escape by swimming. He needed to use his wits to find a way out of this predicament. He had to think of a plan, and fast. Mika's eyes darted around, searching for anything that could help him. He noticed a fallen tree branch near the water's edge. Maybe he could use it to his advantage. But how? He needed to act quickly before Charlie grew suspicious.
"All right, Charlie, I'll hop on your back." Mika's voice was steady, but inside he was trembling with fear. He hoped that his plan would work and that Charlie wouldn't see through his ruse.
Mika cautiously climbed down from the tree. Each step felt like an eternity as he made his way towards the water. He could feel Charlie's eyes on him, watching his every move. Mika took a deep breath to steady his nerves. He took a deep breath and jumped onto Charlie's rough, scaly back. The texture of the crocodile's skin was unsettling, but Mika held on tight. He knew that this was his only chance to escape. "Hold on tight!" Charlie's voice was filled with amusement, but Mika could sense the underlying danger. He tightened his grip, determined not to let go. Charlie chuckled, and with a powerful swish of his tail, he plunged into the river. The sudden movement nearly threw Mika off balance, but he managed to hold on. The cold water splashed around them, and Mika's heart raced. The water splashed around them as Charlie swam. Mika could feel the strength of the crocodile's muscles as they moved through the water. He knew that he had to stay alert and be ready for anything. Mika clung tightly to Charlie's back, his heart pounding in his chest. He could feel the crocodile's powerful movements beneath him, and he knew that he had to stay focused. Any mistake could be his last. He knew he had to think fast if he wanted to outsmart the tricky crocodile. Mika's mind raced as he tried to come up with a plan. He needed to find a way to turn the situation to his advantage. The stakes were high, and Mika knew that his survival depended on his ability to outwit Charlie. As they reached the middle of the river, Mika spotted a flock of colorful parrots flying overhead.
Squawk, squawk!
They called out, their feathers a rainbow against the blue sky. An idea sparked in Mika's clever mind.
Charlie, did you know that the monkeys on this side of the river keep their hearts in the tallest trees?
Charlie slowed down, intrigued. They do? Why would they do that? He asked, a puzzled look on his face.
It's a tradition. They hang them on the highest branches to keep them safe from sneaky crocodiles.
I never knew that, Charlie mumbled, completely fooled by Mika's quick thinking.
Take me back to my tree, Charlie. My heart is hanging on the highest branch. It's the biggest, juiciest one you'll ever see.
Charlie, eager to get his claws on the biggest, juiciest heart, turned around and swam back towards the original riverbank. Mika held on tight, relieved that his plan was working. Soon, they were back at the spot where they had met. Mika quickly scrambled off Charlie's back and swung back up to his tree, his heart still racing from the adventure. Hey, where are you going? What about that juicy heart? Charlie called out, feeling confused.
Oh, Charlie, monkeys don't keep their hearts in trees. I tricked you.
Mika sat high up on his branch, safe from the crocodile's reach. Charlie's jaw dropped. He had been outsmarted by a clever little monkey. He splashed his tail in frustration, but it was too late. Mika was already safe. Mika knew he had been very lucky this time. He had learned a valuable lesson about trust and about the dangers of being greedy. From that day on, Mika was more careful about who he trusted and who he let into his life. He continued to be friends with Charlie, but he always kept a safe distance and never forgot the day the crocodile tried to trick him. Charlie, on the other hand, learned that being greedy and deceitful wasn't the way to make friends or get a tasty treat in the end. He felt deeply ashamed of himself for trying to trick Mika. He realized that true friends were precious and that honesty was always the best policy to follow. And so, the clever monkey and the not-so-tricky-anymore crocodile continued to live by the river. They learned to appreciate their differences, and they helped each other whenever they could. And that, my friends, is the end of our story.